Hi everyone, welcome to the Wool and Spinning Podcast. My name is Rachel and I can be found pretty much everywhere as well for pearls. I live just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia with my husband and our two kids under 4 and our 2 golden retrievers named Charlie and Charlotte. Charlie is in the room with me right now while I record. He's been hiding in our bathroom, in our ensuite on the floor. He likes to push himself up against our tub and lay there. So you may hear walking on the floor if he comes out. I think he comes up here and hides in there to get away from the kids. He's only 6 and he's like a puppy, but I don't think he really likes kids very much. He's a golden retriever. He's supposed to be the all-American family dog. But he's grumpy. So anyways, if you hear paws on the floor, that's Charlie. This is a hand spinning podcast. Welcome to episode 19. We are in the end, sort of getting towards the end of March, and I am wrapping up my teaching schedule for this season at the Sweet Georgia Yarns studio here in Vancouver. I have just loved teaching. Oh my goodness. I have my career job that I do on the weekends, and then I'm a stay-at-home mom Monday to Friday, and I took on this extra sort of gig, if you will, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been wonderful. So we're going to take a break over the summer, and I'll resume teaching again in the fall. So this episode is going to include a little bit of housekeeping and some handspun knitting that I have just cast on. Recently, just 2 days ago, it was Fibers West here in the Greater Vancouver area. It is put on by Brenda of Penelope Fiber Arts. The festival is a 2-day festival that is very fiber heavy. Knit City, which occurs in October here, is very knitting heavy. It's a very knitting saturated festival. And Fibers West is kind of like the knitting festival for spinners and weavers. It's the festival that a lot of people save their fiber money for and spend getting fiber and weaving supplies. And there's often spinning wheel show deals. 2 of my friends bought spinning wheels on Friday. I was so excited for them. So that's sort of the type of festival that Fibers West is, and it's really wonderful. Chrissy of the Snappy Stitches podcast, who's a very dear friend of mine, we met up on Friday morning and browsed together and caught up and had coffee, and it was really lovely to see her. And we both got the things that we wanted, so that was really wonderful. And I'll tell you a little bit about that later in the show. And then I also have a couple of things that I'm working on, some spins in progress that I will update you on how they're going and what's working and what's not working. And finally, I have the Sweet Georgia Yarns Club reveal for March of 2016. So that'll be coming up at the end. And for those of you who aren't interested, that's totally fine. I'll give you a warning before the spoiler comes up. So housekeeping. I have a little... I just wanted to mention really quickly about the Eucalyptus giveaway for the gift pack for the 5 cents that they are currently offering from their shop. This is a giveaway that is ongoing in the group, all things washing. So your successes, pitfalls, good things, bad things about washing your handspun skeins and projects after you finish working with them. Just remember that your idea may be quoted on a future blog post about washing. So keep that in mind and keep those ideas flowing. It is a chatter thread. You can reply and ask questions. In fact, I really encourage it, and you might be the winner. The other bit of housekeeping that I wanted to mention is that I am going to take a podcast vacation in April. There will be a show at the end of the month, but there will be no mid-month show. The reason is because I just need a break, just some quiet, some rest and restoration. It's just a vacation. It's nothing, there's no retooling of the podcast or anything like that. It's just to take a vacation. This year thus far has been very busy for us, which is really unusual. We tend to keep the pace of our life quite low, and that is not how 2016 has started at all. Part of that is because I work on the weekends, and then I have my teaching schedule that I added this year. and I've loved every minute of it. So it's just time to take a bit of a spring break, a month late. So my hope is that I can spend some time doing my making, as well as being more active and participate more fully in the Ravelry group, because you guys spend the time in there and I haven't been able to be as present as I have wanted to be. So that is one thing that I'd really like to do over the next month, and then we'll resume the regular schedule at the end of April. So handspun knitting. I'm really excited to show you guys this. I went into my deep stash, my sort of deep handspun stash, and I fished out 2 skeins of Spunky Eclectic. I think that this was from September of 2014 from the fiber. It's Club Colorway, but I'm not totally sure when it was from. So this is actually Dorset. And I took the braid and I divided it in half. And so the 2 balls, as you can see, are actually quite different. And this was my very first woolen spun yarn. I spun it during Spinzilla of 2014, and I divided the braid in half. Like, I laid it out and I ripped it in half and weighed it to make sure I had equal amounts. And can you believe it? For my very first woolen spun yarn, I have exactly the same yardage. I have 55 yards of each, so it's not very much, but I did always want to do socks with it. So I wound it up and I started them, and I'm knitting them on slightly bigger needles than I normally knit socks. So it's producing a slightly thinner fabric than I'm used to. I tend to knit slightly denser socks, but that's how it's working up thus far. And this is the toe. I'm knitting these toe up. I did a Turkish cast on. I like quite a boxy toe because of the type of feet that I have. And they're very subtle thus far, how they're working up. And these are on 2.75 millimeter needles. I'm a very tight knitter. I'm tempted to start the other pair on 2.5 millimeter needles and compare the fabric and see which ones I like more, and possibly rip these out and knit them on 2.5 millimeter needles. So they're not going to have a big long leg. I'm not going to have the yardage, but once I turn the heel and do the gusset, I'm just going to knit until I run out of yarn. And if I end up not having a ribbed cuff, what I think I'll do is do a rolled cuff and sew it down, sort of like commercial socks are done. So from the gusset up, I'm going to do 1 by 1 rib, and then if I need to, I'll just turn it over and turn it in and loosely sew it in place to create like a true ankle sock, a true cuffed sock, like a commercial sock. So that is how those are working up. I haven't been working on them as much as I wanted to because I've been working on my dad's socks for his birthday, and I finished the first one of his socks, but I haven't started the second one yet. So I need to finish that, and then I'll have an opportunity to work on these. So I actually don't have any other socks on the needles right now. I just have my dad's and these ones. So that's kind of nice. So that's how these are working up. And that's, I'm not going to show you my succulent shawl by Maria Monska today. I'm doing that on my Sweet George Yarns Polworth and Silk that I spun back in the fall. I haven't made any progress on it. So once my dad's socks are done, which are the blue ones, those ones over there, I need to do the second one, and once those are done, then I'll work on the succulent shawl for my like home. I need to think about this knitting, and then my Dorset socks will be my purse knitting socks. So that's my plan. And that's it for handspun knitting. I actually don't have very much on the needles right now. It's kind of nice. I cleared them all off in February. I think I said last show I cast off 4 shawls, and I finished a sweater, which is at a Cascade 220, so I won't show it on the show because it's not handspun. And I've been wearing it, and it's really lovely and cozy. There will be a blog post about that soon. And what else did I cast off? Socks. I finished these socks. Those are commercial yarn, so again, not on the show. And yeah, I've just been kind of blasting through like just old on the needles projects that have been just hanging out. So Fibers West, Where should I start? Okay, so I dropped the kids off with my best friend in the morning, and we had a little bit of a visit because there's some drama going on at work right now, and we just needed to debrief. And the kids are always happy to go to their house because they love Amber and they love her daughter Caitlin. They're like best friends. So that was wonderful, and they played, and they were playing all morning. So I left and I went to Fibers West, and I paid my admission fee and everything, and I got in, and Chrissy met me, and we started wandering around, and we did a really quick lap because I wanted to go. Should I share this with you now or should I wait? I'm going to share it with you after. So I wanted to go to a very specific booth. And so we actually went there first. Chrissy was really gracious and kind of let me beetle through the festival as quickly as I could to get to this one booth. And I got what I wanted. So that was wonderful. And I had done a demo and the program at our local guild on Tuesday night. And so I had been compensated for that, just a little bit of money that kind of went into my pocket, which is really lovely for me to be able to put that back into my hobby. And so that was why I wanted to get these specific things. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know what I'm talking about. So we did that, and I'll tell you about that in a second. And then we just started wandering, and we were just kind of wandering randomly, and it was really fun to catch up. And we had quite a few people come up to us, both of us, and just, you guys know who you are, say very kind things about the podcasts, about the effort that we put in and the work that we put in, and you know, that we're local and etc. And to those people, thank you for coming up to both of us and for saying how much you enjoy the show and for speaking up. It was really lovely to meet all of you. And because of my local guild, I know quite a few people locally now, which is really wonderful. So I was able to chat with them and see what they were buying. And it was really wonderful just to have kind of the social hour, if you will. Everybody was so relaxed, and people were purchasing a lot, and they were excited about what they were buying. Handspun mini spinner was there, so people were in that booth trying out the mini spinners. People were in some of the other booths looking at some of the raw alpaca that was for sale. People were trying spindles and spinning out in the corridors, doing demos and whatnot. There were some weaving demos, and there was a couple of booths that only sell fiber, so and hand dyed fiber and whatnot. So people were, those booths were really busy. There was a few that there was one actually that I have quite a bit of stashed fiber from her, so I didn't actually even go over there. I didn't want to be tempted, because I was on a very, very, very strict diet, a very strict budget. So I did get a couple of things. Because of the guild demo on Tuesday, I really depleted my stash of fiber from making the bats, because I was demoing core spun. So I made a whole bunch of bats and mini bats for people, and the core yarn and whatnot. So to make the bats, I had depleted my stash quite a lot. So Chaotic Fibers, sorry for the crinkling, they're located in Victoria, which is over on the island. It's a ferry ride from here. It's where my brother lives. I got another jumbo bobbin for my Lendrum, which is just sort of something that I really needed. And then I actually bought some sari silk. So I got a few different colors. I got golden yellow. They call it amber. I wouldn't call this amber per se. They called this one gold, and it's very gold. And it's got some green and blue and whatnot in it. They're called Chaotic Fibers, and they have an online presence, chaoticfibers.com. They're a lovely retired couple. They're just, oh my goodness, they're so lovely. I bought 100 grams of silk noil that I would like to dye and make some tweed type yarn with. I got some blue. This is a little bit darker than what it's showing up on the camera. I don't know if I come in closer. It's more like that over here. That's the color. Really pretty. And there's some purple in that, so I've got some ideas for that. And then I actually bought some sort of natural undyed, like sort of, it's got some yellow in there and some orange and some blue and green. But it's just sort of a little bit lighter. It's just a cream, for lack of a better way of describing it. And then some new Firestar, a colorway that I had never seen before, which is purple and black and yellow. For those of you who know me, how much I love yellow. Yellow and purple together. So it was a colorway of Firestar that I had never seen before. So I grabbed a little bit of that. I didn't buy the big bag. They did have it as a big bag. But I just bought the little bit because I can always get some in Victoria when I go over to see my brother and sister-in-law. And like I said, I was on a very tight budget. So I got that stuff for my drum card to replace what I had used up for the Guild demo. And then I also bought some Shetland, 100 grams of black, which is actually dark brown. And I also bought some gray Shetland. And I'm actually thinking that I might comb these two together for the brioche section of the Pommier vest by Hilary Smith Calais. That brown Shetland that I finished last month, I don't have enough for the collar, and because it's a shawl collar, so it's a vest, and then the shawl collar is brioche, and the idea is that the body of the vest is in one color, and then the brioche is a 2-color brioche, and the brown, I just don't have enough of the brown, so I'm thinking I might put those two together and create another natural shade to put with my existing Shetland to have enough yardage to do the collar. And that's all I bought. That's all I got. I knew exactly what I wanted, and I had a lot of fun looking at all the stuff that everybody had, and all the booths and chatting with everyone, and yeah, it was just really wonderful. So that was the fiber stuff because I wanted fiber prep type stuff to add to my stash. And then I got a little bit sidetracked. So one of the booths that I really wanted to go and tootle around in because I wanted to get my Lendrum bobbin is Fibers Plus, and they're in Maple Ridge. And he's a spinner, and it is principally a spindle spinner, and he's very talented. And he had the last lace hound design supported spindle, and I bought it. So I did buy a bowl as well because I don't have one, and I have a whole bunch of porcelain bowls, but the wood is a tiny bit slower, and so I thought just for learning that it would be nice to start on this. And because Hound Design isn't making spindles anymore and isn't making, like, he's retiring, I thought that I would snap up a bowl while I could still get one. He had 4, and this was the one that I liked the most. So I bought it. I haven't started playing with this a lot yet because I've been sidetracked by something else. There was one that was a medium weight spindle there, and I almost bought that one instead. But it wasn't as pretty as this one. This one is Rosewood and Santos, I think. I have it written down, and it's just it just spins, like, I mean, you can see it just whips around. It's so fast. And I was standing in the booth, and a lady was standing right next to me, and I think she actually wanted this, but she didn't actually say that, but I feel like she maybe did. But she was very positive, and she really was encouraging, and said to me, like, that she had one, and that it was one of her favorite spindles, and that she used it a lot, and that once I got over the learning curve of spinning supported, and learning how to wrap my fiber up the shaft and up, that I would really enjoy it myself. And she actually encouraged me to start with a wooden bowl for supported spindling, because she said it's a little bit slower. So that was really lucky that I bumped into her while she was in the booth as well. So that was one of my things that I bought, and I'm really excited to start playing with that. We're going camping. Well, we're big campers. We're always going camping. And I thought that I would bring it and play with it while we're driving, because I can focus on it and not be doing anything else other than just sitting there. So when we got there, I said to Chrissy that there was something I wanted to get and that I was going to run off right away and get it. And she was so great. She was like, absolutely, let's just go get it done and go find what you want to get. And she's like, you've been waiting all week. And I was like vibrating. I was so excited. And so a lot of you have heard of these and know what they are. These are turtle made. This is a turtle made spindle. It is a Turkish spindle. They come from Pennsylvania. I think it's Pennsylvania. And a local shop has started carrying them and selling them. And so I have been playing with this since I got it. And I love it. And it's so much fun. So I chose these colors. She had a bowl and she had all of the cross pieces and all of the shafts and stuff, and you could kind of put together your color combination and what you wanted. So this one is blue and brown, and the blue is metallic. It's one of the metallic colorways. It says Turtle Made on the bottom. And then I bought a yellow. It doesn't look yellow on the video, but it has a yellow tone to it. So it's very me. Especially if you can see what I'm wearing, navy blue and yellow, that's sort of me. And I have been working on this. This is the Romney that I told you guys about a while ago. I naturally dyed half a pound of it. This is some of it here, and I fold it by accident because I, of course, was just learning. And so I have been drum carding it because the drum carding is opening up the fibers again, and has been really effective to break the fiber apart. And this is, I've got matter all over my book. And this is what it looks like after it's drum carded. And I have been doing a short forward draw, pinch, pull forward, let go, pinch, pull forward, let go. So it's creating this really airy, bouncy yarn. So, and of course the Turkish spindles are a little bit heavier. They're a little bit slower. And so I'm basically just letting enough twist in to fiber lock it, and then winding it on, and then going on to the next bit. And I'm just, oh my goodness, I'm hooked. I love wheel spinning, but this whole slow making and slow process, and I blogged about it a little bit and talked about it a little bit when I wrote about the Shetland yarn that I finished in January. There's something about the I think I'm finding so much satisfaction in the making that I'm doing when I slow down and work with tools that are slow. And I think that's why at this stage of my making and my creating and whatnot, why the spindles have just really, I've just really taken a shine to them. So this was the one that I bought. And then I wish I had bought, there was one color combination. Chrissy knows exactly what it is. And I didn't get it, and I still am regretting it. The two that I chose, I liked the best. But the third one I walked away from, and I am gonna get it. I just wish that I had bought it on Friday. So, and I don't have buyer's remorse very often. Like, I don't regret not getting stuff very often. So the fact that I'm still thinking about it 3 days later, I feel like it was I really did value it, and like I will really use it. And this was the second one that I got. So Turtle Made. This is like a bronze kind of, and then a rusty orange, and then I got a dark brown. So these are 3D printed, and that's what makes them so cool. They're very light. They hold a lot of fiber, and they spin. They're perfectly balanced from the 3D printing. And they just have a really lovely feel to them. My friend Diana is a huge fan of these, and she's the one that kind of got me interested in them. One of the things that I thought was very cool about them was one of the ladies in the booth who has quite a number. She was demoing them with just the one arm. So she was demoing that you can actually spin with just the one arm, and you can actually spin quite a bit faster if you want to do very lightweight lace. And I thought that was really neat. So it almost turns it into a faster whirl, and it goes quite a bit faster. So for those who don't know what a Turkish spindle is or haven't seen them before, basically a Turkish spindle is transported like this, and you take the pieces and they interlock together, and there's a hole in the middle, and the shaft goes into the middle, and some people use a chopstick, and there's lots of pencil, there's anything that fits basically in the hole, and that makes the spindle. Yeah, I was really pleased with these. So mine, I can mix my colors all around. The colors all work together, but those were the two that I bought. And moving on to spins in progress, I have actually been, so my brother is a whiskey Scotch drinker, and so he's been giving me his containers. Him and his wife they're not pack rats by any means, and so it's been really wonderful because he hasn't been like trying to keep all of his containers, so I've been slowly taking them off his hands. This is my Hound Design spindle that I bought at Christmas time in Toronto. This was my lace spindle that I bought, and I have been spinning up a storm. So this is hedgehog fibers, merino flax. I don't have my, I do have my thing. I've been standing, you guys are gonna laugh at me. So the kids have been all about scootering lately. We gave James a pedal bike for his for Christmas. And he's not quite ready for it, even though he has a run bike. His balance is perfect. I think he's just finding the pedaling and the balancing and the driving and just all the things is sort of a little bit too much. And so him and Nora have been scootering in the cul-de-sac. And because I have a leg injury, I can't just stand there. I have to either walk and move, or I need to sit down. But I find when I'm spindling, I have to stand completely square on my legs. I can't shift to one side and slump or shift to the other side and slump. It forces me to stand up properly. And for whatever reason, I'll kind of show you. I know I'm sitting right now, but basically, like, to have the spindle in front of me, I need to be square to get the flick in and move along, and then wind it on. Like, I can't not stand properly. So while the kids are in, and we live in a double cul-de-sac, so you come down our street and there's a cul-de-sac, and then you turn and there's another cul-de-sac, so we get very little traffic. So I've been standing in the cul-de-sac. You guys are gonna laugh at me. I've been standing in the cul-de-sac spindling. That's why my cop is already so full, and why my turtle is already so big. And I've also been standing there knitting on my dad's sock. The neighbors must think I'm crazy. So this is the fiber. That's what it looks like. Again, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen pictures of this fiber. This is old stash as well. It's merino silk and flax, 125 grams. And I have 2 bags of this. So it's going to take me a while to spindle spin it. You guys are like, oh my goodness, what is she doing now? That's okay. You can make fun of me. My husband's making fun of me. And this fiber is kind of interesting because in the merino, I'll show you in this one. You have the streaks of flax, and then you also have the streaks of silk, and then you also have the flax. So it's really interesting to spin. I'm not gonna say that I love it, but I'm enjoying it on the spindle more so than on the wheel. I found on the wheel, I wasn't enjoying it a lot, and I was finding it very frustrating. And I think it's because I was finding it really difficult to spin it really evenly. And I was like, it's merino, it should be very even. It's merino and silk, blah, 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 blah. But the flax adds this whole other element to it, I guess, for lack of a better word. So like, as you can see, this is wound into a nest. So I think you'll really be able to see that section in there. That's all flax, and it's very stiff and almost papery, for lack of a better way of describing it. And so when I'm spinning, it's not super pretty, and it's not super even, and it's kind of textury, and with the orange and the blue, it's sort of muddy looking almost, or like gray maybe is a good word for it. And I think because I'm spindle spinning it and I'm learning how to spindle spin it, I'm not putting as much pressure on myself to be so perfect. And so I'm really enjoying it. So I'm going to finish this, and I have this that I pulled off the braid as well. So I sort of have this left, if you will. And I don't know how many grams this is in total. I have no idea. But I'm going to finish this off, and then I'm actually going to wind this off into, I'm going to rest it, and I'll wind it off onto I'll probably just wind it onto one of my Lundrum bobbins, and then I'm going to Navajo ply it on one of my wheels and see what it looks like, and sort of have like a sample of, okay, do I want to spin the rest of it like this? Do I want to try something else? What do I want to do with it? So I'm really enjoying this. And I didn't want to stand out in the cul-de-sac with my Scotch whiskey bottle. Something just made me feel like the neighbors would think I was an alcoholic or something. So I covered this with paper, which is an idea that I got from my friend Diana. So the paper that I put on it, I hope this focuses, is a girl and a boy scootering. I know, I'm such a nerd. I love it. The sun and the trees. So I showed it to James. I was like, did you see the paper that I put on, James? And he said no. And so I said, well, can you look at the paper that I put on here. I didn't do a great job of putting the paper on, but anyways. And he's looking at it, he's like, oh, doodering, because he can't say scootering just yet. He's working on it. And so he's like, oh, doodering. And I said, yeah, I put it on because I often stand in the cul-de-sac and I'm scootering while you guys, or I'm spinning while you guys are scootering. He's like, oh, that's good, mommy. And then like toodles off. I was like, thank you for validating me, 3.5-year-old little boy. He was laughing. He's got such a good sense of humor now because he's getting closer and closer to 4. And he's like, he picks up when I think something's funny, he picks up on it. And it's really fun because sometimes I feel like he's actually like kind of making fun of me a little bit, and we have good laughs about it. So it's really fun. So that is what I have been working on, and it's all spindling. The other thing that I've been working on is actually my Falkland. This is my Falkland yarn. This is what it looks like when it's done. It's a tweed yarn kind of. It sort of ended up being a tweed yarn because of all the neps. Come on. So this is what it looks like. It's a 3-ply. It's woolen spun. I never do 3-plies woolen spun, but I did do this woolen spun, and I'm really liking how it's turning out. And I think the 3-ply has really helped to even it out. So this is the most recent skein that I pulled off, and it's just a small mini skein. I just needed to clear off the bobbins to like start fresh. So I actually have one bobbin finished, which is right there. And then I have another one that I actually just need to top up. I had to pull this bobbin off of my sidekick to spin the March club. So now that it's done, I'm actually going to put this back on and top it up and fill it out a bit, because it can fit a lot more on the lower half of the bobbin. So it just got interrupted. And then I have a 90% full bobbin on the sidekick right now. So I'll finish that one and top this one up, and then I'll apply, clear those bobbins, and then hopefully I may only actually have 3 more bobbins to do, if you can believe it. The shacked bobbins, I'm finding, compared to my Lendrum bobbins, hold so much more fiber because of how the guides are set up. That and it's just because with the Lendrum I'm lazy about moving the hook. It's me. But I'm finding I'm blasting through the fiber really fast. So I actually only have, and now I'm really enjoying it because I'm just taking my time and working on it a little bit at a time. So I actually only have 4 more of these to get through. And they've been going really, really fast. So I think I have about 3 more bobbins. And yeah, and I'll be done. So that's for my Zero to Hero spackle that we're working on in the group. So that's really exciting, actually. I'm actually really looking forward to knitting with it. For those of you who haven't seen it, who maybe haven't been with us for as long, this is what the knitted swatch looked like. And it's just really, really pretty once it's knit up. And so it's not actually as good that close to the camera. It's a little bit better. This is perfect. You can really see it back here. So it's very tweedy. I'm actually not sure. I was set on the Charlie's cardigan by Amy Herzog, and now I'm kind of rethinking it. Depending on the yardage that I get, I'm not totally sold on that cardigan anymore. I'm just going to see what my yardage is like and see what kind of sweater I want to knit. So that is my Falkland. I haven't put in any time on my Pacific Spirit, my other spackle spin. I haven't worked on it at all. This is being spun on my Lendrum. I just, with teaching and everything, I haven't had a chance. And that's it. So a little bit of everything this month. Sort of working on a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And of course the spindling has taken up a lot of my time because I've been playing a lot. I haven't made any progress on my speckle dyed sock yarn on the Handspun. I'm actually going to pull it off of the Handspun. The one bobbin that I had finished that you will have seen if you watched, I think it must have been an episode in February that I showed you. I'm actually going to wind it off onto a shacked bobbin once the Falkland's done. And I'm going to spin the rest of it in double drive on the Matchless. I'm just not enjoying spinning it on the Handspun, so I'm just going to pull it off. Yeah, and that's it. Seems like a lot. I'm surrounded by fiber. Next, I'm going to show you the club reveal for March of 2016 for Sweet Georgia Yarns and chat with you a little bit about that. It was a guest dyer this month. Robert C. did the Wistmas at Christmas in December of 2015, and he was back for March of 2016. So it's a very different feel of yarn, again, just like Wistmas was. He's a different artist and has a different color sense. He comes to dyeing and color, viewing color from a ceramics background and a pottery background. So that's really interesting. So I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect that some of his color management is influenced by glazes on pottery. So yeah, I'll insert some photos here of what the fiber looked like and what the yarn looked like so that you can see it in its true colors. And I'll be back in just a moment to share with you what I spun. So these colors this month were really beautiful, and the colorway was called Panorama. It was a tribute to his grandfather who had recently passed away, and he had flown home to see his family and had shared many stories about his grandfather with his friends or with his family, sorry, and the sort of reflected on his life. And he ended up coming home with a feeling of blessing and had celebrated a wonderful time with his family. And so he sees this colorway as sort of moody and dark, but also with the yellow in there as hopeful and looking towards the future, and basically letting yourself focus on the beautiful details in life. So it was very touching and really lovely. And it was it was really nice to hear him write about home. It was an 85-15% merino, superwash merino nylon mix, and Felicia recommended Navajo plying to keep the colors distinct and separate. Even though they're very analogous and very homogeneous, splitting up the fibers to prevent all of those subtle hues from being blended together, which would have created a much more homogeneous result. She also said a thick and thin would have worked, and plying it back on itself to keep those colors a little bit cleaner. And yeah, and of course sock yarn, superwash merino and nylon sock yarn. So I Navajo plied it. I did a traditional 3-ply. I got 285 yards. I really enjoyed spinning it. It was a very consistent spin for me. I did this in double draw. I did this in Scotch tension actually on the matchless at 22.5 ratio, a ratio of 22.5 to 1. So that's one of the super high, I think they call that whirl, super high. That's actually why I didn't do double drive, because I find when I'm at those really high ratios in double drive, the difference in size between the break and between the whirl on the bobbin and the whirl on the drive wheel. For those of you familiar with double drive, you'll understand what I'm saying. I just find it's a bit too close, and I find it very finicky to get the tension just right. And if I sit down and spin and then come back to it, I just can't get it quite right. So because I knew I would be interrupted several times, I kept it in Scotch tension. So that's how it turned out. I split the braid horizontally, vertically. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I split the braid vertically 3 times, and 4 times. So I had 4 strips of fiber to spin, and I did 2 per night over 2 nights, and then on the 3rd night I plied. And it created slightly shorter color repeats, but not so short that the subtle colors got lost. So I was able to preserve. The light's not quite right because there we go. It's a bit better. It's very dark. It's not a bright, cheerful colorway by any means, but I really like it. I did quite a high twist. It's still, after washing it, it's still twisting on itself. It was actually twisting twice, but I think it's been skeined long enough now that it's only twisting once. And even within the fiber, there's some places where it's twisting back on itself, particularly on this side back here. So if I pull it out, it straightens itself out. I may put this back through the wheel one more time to tighten it up a little bit more. I am going to do socks with this. And so this was one of those skeins that I wanted very, very, very high twist, because I do find for me that merino and nylon doesn't wear really super well in my boots. And I don't know if it's because I have orthotics and I'm walking on the actual bottom of the boot because I have to take out the insoles to fit my orthotics, or if it's the amount that I wear them and I'm on my feet a lot. I'm not sure. Merino is a very fine fiber. It's a fine wool. There's only so much strength and durability that 15% of nylon can add. So I do find that I need that added twist because of the type of shoes that I wear. So that is that. And it's really, really lovely. And the nice thing about merino and nylon is it can take a crap ton of twist and still be soft. So that was March of 2016. And I will be back at the end of April, like I said at the beginning of the show, and I'll probably have quite a full show because I will probably have a lot that I will have worked on, I hope. We wanted April to be quiet and an opportunity for us to just spend some time as a family, spend some time in the evenings, just me and my husband, and some just quiet for me, making time, and for him reading and working on some work stuff that he wants to work on and that he keeps putting off. And so we just thought that taking a little bit of a break was prudent and would rest me enough that I could come back fresh and ready to record at the end of April. So I hope you have had a wonderful spring break. I hope it is a spring wherever you are and that you're getting out of the crux of winter. And I will talk to you in a month. Take care, everyone, and happy, happy, happy spinning. Bye.